Welcome to Sri Chaitanya. This is Uma Shankar. So far in differential calculus, we have completed limits, and in limits, we have divided the entire limits into 6 parts and in the form of lessons, and I have given detailed theoretical concepts of the limits. After that, we concentrated on the continuity, and the next core subject is differentiation and differentiability. This is lesson 1 of that. Limits, continuity and differentiability. Once, if anybody is mastered these particular 3 areas, will get a thorough idea on calculus part. Thereby he can solve several things, especially which are related with the calculus. Because all other coming topics in calculus, both in differential as well as integral calculus, everything depends upon the first 3 concepts: limits, continuity and differentiability. Without that, there is no other chapters at all. Okay, my friends, now we are entering into differentiation and differentiability lesson 1 topic. Here, just like in continuity, I would like to introduce what is the differentiation of the function at a point, and differentiation of a function in an interval, in a closed interval, open interval, everything with the detailed manner we will discuss. Now, coming to derivative of a function at a point. See, derivative of the function at a point, the definition is like this. Suppose if f is a function which is defined from closed interval ab to r, where r is a set of real numbers and c is any point in the domain, f is said to be derivable at a point c, then symbolically that is denoted with f dash c, symbolically that we denoted with f dash c, and f dash c is equal to limit x tends to c f of x minus f of c by x minus c. This exists. Exists means, already I told several times, it should be a finite fixed value. Clear? And this limit is nothing but by transformation. If I have applied c with c plus h, then it transferred like this, both are same. So whenever at a particular point this holds good, then we can say that the derivative of the function exists at that point, and symbolically it is denoted with what? F dash c. Okay, the limit in this case is called the derivative or differential coefficient of the function at x. Suppose if the point is some p, I can write the definition as what? Limit x tends to p f of x minus f of p by x minus p, or limit h tends to 0 f of p plus h minus f of p by h. This is about what? At a point I am talking. Now coming to left hand derivative and right hand derivative. See what I said just now. This exists. Limit of this function, this exists. When shall limit of the function exists? Left hand limit exists and right hand limit exists, and they are equal. What is left hand limit? Limit x tends to c minus f of x minus f of c by x minus c, or limit h tends to 0 plus f of c minus h minus f of c by minus h. If this exists, what I did? The left hand limit of this function. Then in this case, the derivative is called left hand derivative of the function, and symbolically it is denoted with f dash of c minus 0. See here. And these are the different notations: f dash c minus 0, or f dash c minus, or L f dash of c. L f dash of c is the left hand derivative at x is equal to c. Only thing is, left hand limit of this one exists, then in that case the limit is nothing but left hand derivative. Similarly, right hand derivative of the function exists. See, that means limit x tends to c plus f of x minus f of c by x minus c, nothing but limit h tends to 0 plus f of c plus h minus f of c by h, because if I have replaced x with x plus c plus h, c gets cancelled. Finally, I will get what? H. If this exists, then in this case, the limit is called the right hand derivative, represented with RHD or r f dash of c or f dash c plus or f dash c plus 0, etc., etc. So when can we say limit of the function, derivative of the function at a point will exist? Simple. Both the left hand derivative exists, right hand derivative exists, and they are equal. See? So existence of derivative of the function. When can we say derivative of the function will exist at a point? Left hand derivative at c exists, which is a finite and fixed quantity. Right hand derivative exists, that is, which is again a finite and fixed quantity. Both the left hand derivative equal to right hand derivative. If any one of the conditions fails to satisfy by the function, then we can say that it is not derivable at x is equal to c. Clear? So derivable at x is equal to c means what? F dash c exists means what? If IFF means if and only if, implies and implied by. Left hand derivative equal to right hand derivative. Clear? So actually limit x tends to c, f of x minus f of c by x minus c exists. This means what? It is a number actually. It is a real number, because the real numbers are always what? A finite quantity. Individually they are what? A finite quantity. That means exists means that is the meaning of existing. So whenever we get a real number, after finding the limit becomes a real number, then only we can say that derivative at that particular point exists and is equal to that number. Clear? This is all about what? After all, derivative of the function at a point. Now coming to derivative of the function in an interval. Derivability in an interval. See, suppose f, as usual, a closed interval ab to capital R is said to be derivable in open interval ab. What does it mean? In open interval ab, how many points are there? Infinitely many points will exist in open interval ab. At a point, what conditions if satisfies by the function, then we can say that the derivative of the function exists. Just now we have watched. The same thing holds good at each and every point in this in between the two numbers in that particular interval. Then we can say that the function is derivable in open interval ab. That means, suppose if c is any point in open interval ab and derivative of the function exists at c, that means left hand derivative at xc and right hand derivative at x is equal to c, and both are equal, then only we can say that the derivative of the function exists at c. What is c? C is any point. Any point means at each and every point, if it holds good, simply I can say that derivative of the function exists in open interval ab. Okay. Similarly, in an interval also, just you replace open interval with an interval I, whatever it may be the interval. In the place of open interval, you just replace with I, whatever it may be the interval is. So at each and every point, the above conditions holds good, then simply we can say that derivative of the function exists in an interval I, simply. Similarly, derivative of the function with respect to x we are talking. See, suppose this is important, because from this only we are developing the first principles of differentiation, and based on this we can derive several formulae of the differentiation. This is the first step. See, derivative of the function, that means with respect to x. In general, people are solving the problems d by dx of something, d by dy, something like that. How to define? See, here instead of c, I am using x, because I am taking x as any point in an interval or domain of the function. Suppose f is a function, f d to r is any function, because where d is the domain of the function. You take any point x in the domain of the function. You take any point x in the domain of the function. At x, if limit h tends to 0, f of x plus h minus f of x by h exists, this limit exists, where do we get it? This is nothing but just you imagine, you replace x with c, what will happen? That is nothing but what? At a point x, at a point c. Here I am taking generalization, generalized version I am talking. So if it exists at each and every point in the domain of the function, if this limit exists at each and every point in the domain of the function where the function is in variable x, if your function is a variable of x, means f of x is a function. Because in general people are saying that f of x is a function. Don't say that f of x is a function. F of x is image of the variable x. But usually people are using that usage. Let f of x be a function. No, let f be a function. Let f be a function. F of x is what? Image of the function of image of the variable x in the domain of the function. F of x is what? Image of the variable. So here what I am saying is, what is x? If your function is in variable x, then if this kind of limit exists at each and every point in the domain of the function, then we can call it as a derivative of the function with respect to x, and symbolically it is denoted by d by dx of f of x. If my function is y equal to f of x, so instead of d by dx I can write dy by dx, or in other notation I can represent that as what? F dash of x. So d by dx of y or d by dx of f of x, both are same. Here this d by dx is called what? Differential coefficient. This is called what? Differential coefficient. Or we can call it as a differential coefficient with respect to x. And that's why, since your function is y equal to f of x in the variable x, so we represent that as with the simple f dash x. This is first derivative. D by dx is called first derivative. That's why f dash I have represented. This is called the first principles of the differentiation, or ab initio method of the differentiation. This is called the first principle or ab initio method. Once upon a time in JEE advanced examination, of course nowadays we call it as JEE advanced. In previous days, means in the 80s and 85s or something around that time, one question was guarantee to find the derivative of the function with respect to ab initio method or first principles like that. Because with this definition only, we are deriving all important standard formula in the differentiation. Soon we are learning those standard formula also. I will give that information in the next video. Because this is the fundamental theoretical information only I am focusing here. Because in general, if anybody starts or concentrating on a differentiation, means simply they are solving the problems. No, that is not the case. Everybody do it. But the thing is, there are some points one should learn and practice, because these points are very, very useful and useful for all competitive examination. In that aspect only I am giving this information. Please note down in a separate notebooks. This video is always helpful for you. Okay, my friends. Now coming to interpretation of derivative. What is interpretation? What does it mean? Already I told what is interpretation of continuity. Without lifting your hand, if you are drawing the graph of the function, without lifting the hand, if you are drawing the graph of the functions, and then simply we can say that the curve is continuous. It is a continuous curve. Without lifting the hand, suppose if you are lifting the hand at any point, simply I can say that the curve is not continuous. Suppose here, what happened? Here there is a gap. Here this is a gap. So here what happens? There is a gap between these two curves. Therefore, the function is not continuous. Similarly, what is the interpretation of derivative? Here, geometrical interpretation I am giving. Similarly, the physical interpretation also I am giving. Clear? See, my friends, suppose this is origin, and this is x-axis, and this is y-axis. And this is a function, and this is my, say, x, and this is my c. This is you call this my function as y equal to f of x. So this is the height. So this point becomes x comma f of x. So let it be, the point is P. And this is the point C. So you say this point as Q. So the coordinates of this point are C comma f of C. Clear? So join these 2 points, P and Q. So my P is what? X comma f of x. My Q is what? C comma f of C. So what is slope of secant PQ? Because it is a 2-point formula. So that I can write it as f of x minus f of C by x minus C. This is what? Slope of PQ. What will happen if x approaches to C? So if this point x approaches to C, what will happen? Suppose if x is here, the situation is here. Suppose if x is here, then the corresponding point P is like this. So this becomes the secant. Suppose if x is here, so the corresponding point is here. Say this is P1, this is P2. So the secant is like this. Suppose if x is here, the corresponding point is here, P3. So this is secant. So one fine morning, what will happen? Slowly all the sequence now becomes the tangent at the point Q. So that in mathematical language, how can we represent? Limit x tends to C, f of x minus f of C by x minus C. I can write like this. So the limiting case of the secant is nothing but slope of the tangent. So slope of the tangent exists means what? It has a number. So whenever there is a possibility of finding the slope of the tangent at a point on the curve, simply we can say that the function is derivable at that point. This is the geometrical interpretation. Or simply I can say that tangent exists. What does it mean? You can find the slope of the tangent and that should be the finite number. Tangent exists means what? It is possible to draw a tangent at that particular point. Otherwise, how come? So the meaning you have to focus. That is the geometrical interpretation. So whenever anybody is asking you to what is the concept of differentiation geometrically, immediately you have to tell that slope of the tangent drawn at that particular point on the curve. So derivative of the function exists at a point means the slope of there exists a tangent at a point is possible. That means it is possible to find the slope of the tangent at that particular point. That is called the geometrical interpretation. Now coming to the geometrical interpretation, geometrical interpretation. Now coming to physical interpretation, what does it mean? Instantaneous rate of change of the function. d by dt, rate of change in displacement, rate of change in acceleration. That rate, we can call it as that instantaneous rate of change. As a chapter, we will learn so many applications in physics that is called physical interpretation. So with respect to time, we are talking anything that is possible in physical interpretation. So derivative in physical representation is what? Rate of change of the function. Suppose if s is a function in t, time t, then ds by dt, this is called rate of change in the displacement. This is called velocity. Suppose a is an acceleration in a time t, then dA by dt is called what? Slope of the rate of change in the acceleration. Rate of change in the acceleration. Suppose v is a function in terms of t, v is a velocity. dv by dt, rate of change in the velocity, this is called what? Acceleration. Clear? Next, my friends, this important point, please remember this. So if any graph contains, so it is very simple litmus test of continuity. If you while drawing the graph of the function, if you are lifting your hand, means what? The function is not continuous. Simply if there is any break, gap, sudden jump or sudden falls, simply I can say that the gap indicates what? Discontinuity. Similarly, if the graph of the function contains any sharp edges, corners, gaps or peaks, then at that point the function is not differentiable. At that point the function is not differentiable. So this is very simple litmus test for finding the nature of the function, whether the function has a derivative exists or not at a particular point or not. Suppose, suppose what happened, this is called sharp edge. At this particular point the function has no derivative. Suppose see, here it has a sharp edge and here it is a jump, break, and again here it is a gap. So at these particular points the function has no derivatives. That's why if a function has any sharp edges or corners like this, gaps at peaks, then simply we can say that. So immediately we can say that yes, at these particular points the derivative does not exist. So this is the way. If you are familiar with the graphs, then instead of finding the limit of the function all the way as we discussed in the first slides, it is better, yes, at where the function has gaps or where the function has corners or where the function has sudden jumps or sudden falls, then immediately at those you identify those points, simply you can say that the derivative of the function does not exist at that particular point. This is the litmus test to identify whether the derivative of the function exists or not at a particular point. Again, what I am telling, exists means there exists a tangent, or a tangent is possible to draw at a particular point. What will happen if a tangent is possible to draw at a particular point? It is easy to find the slope of the tangent for you. That's why. Clear, my friends? And again, now coming to properties and theorems in a differentiation. See, yeah, this is theorem number 1. If f has a finite derivative at x is equal to c, then f is continuous at x is equal to c. Every differentiable function is continuous in single line statement. Every differentiable function is continuous. So derivability ensures continuity. So if anybody is asking you to test the continuity as well as differentiability, instead of wasting the time for both for continuity and differentiability, better you check what derivability at that particular point. If derivability exists, simply you can say the function is continuous. But converse need not be true. That means not every continuous function is derivable. Not every continuous function is derivable. This is the best example for this. See, this is my graph y equal to mod x. What happens to this function? At 0 it has a sharp edge. At 0 it has a sharp edge. What will happen whenever a function has a sharp edge? Then so many tangents are possible, exists at this particular point. Exists means only one tangent is possible to draw. But here at this sharp edge, infinitely many tangents are possible to draw. So it is not possible to find the slope of the tangent at that particular point. That's why it is not differentiable. But there is no break at all. You observe, there is no break at all. So this is the best example of a function which is continuous but not derivable. So every derivable function is continuous, but every continuous function need not be derivable. This is very, very, very important, and several times the problems were repeated again and even in the coming examinations also. We can expect the good questions from this. Clear? Now, Darboux theorem. Actually, nobody knows that this kind of statements. It's a very familiar statement, and after watching the statement, you will get an idea. This is similar to whom and which statement. Yeah, let us see. It is, of course, the statement looks like what? F is defined in a closed interval AB. This is important. So terms and terminology is very, very important. That means left hand derivative in closed interval AB. When can we say that the function has a derivable in closed interval AB? Because right hand derivative exists at A, and left hand derivative exists at b, and in between it is derivable. And at endpoints, the product of the slopes of the functions is less than 0. At endpoint, the product of the slopes of the functions is less than 0. Then there exists at least one point in closed interval ab such that at that point derivative of the function is 0. At that point derivative of the function is 0. It almost looks like what? It is Bolzano-Weierstrass theorem in continuity. What we told in Bolzano-Weierstrass theorem in continuity. If f is a continuous function defined in a closed interval ab and f of a into f of b less than 0, then there exists at least a point c belongs to open interval ab such that f of c equal to 0. This we told in the continuity chapter, that is Bolzano-Weierstrass theorem. And I have given the graph also for that like this. See, this is f of a and f of b, this is a, b, and this is c. This is f of a less than 0 and this is f of b greater than 0. So, at endpoints, f is a continuous function defined in closed interval ab. That is what continuity in closed interval. This is derivability in closed interval. There f of a into f of b, here f dash a into f dash b. There f of a into f of b less than 0, here f dash a into f dash b less than 0. Same thing, there f of c equal to 0, here f dash of c equal to 0. That means what? Whenever a function satisfies this kind of conditions, suppose say, for example, suppose this is the function like this. Say here, this is my a, suppose any point a, and this is a tangent at a, and say this is any point b, this is tangent at b. What does it mean here? That slope of the tangent at a, this is corresponding point a and this is corresponding point b. Here the slope of the tangent is acute and here slope of the tangent is obtuse. Therefore, it means f dash a is positive and f dash b is negative. That means for this kind of curves, if you draw tangents at each and every point, you will find one fine morning that the tangent at one of these points is parallel to x-axis. That point is nothing but c. That is the meaning of f dash c equal to 0. What does it mean? F dash c derivative of the function at x is equal to c. Geometrical interpretation, slope of the tangent at x is equal to c. Slope of the tangent at x is equal to c is 0 means what? Tangent parallel to x-axis. So, if a function satisfies this kind of conditions, then at a point on the curve, the tangent is always parallel to x-axis. It is just similar to what? Rolle's theorem and Lagrange's theorem and Cauchy's mean value theorems. Yeah, they are being derived. Soon we are learning and practicing in the next sessions. They are the applications of Durbach's theorem only. Clear, my friends? Again, I am talking about the converse. See, there the most important point in this one is it assumes, this gives what? This clarity, it gives what? Whenever derivative means continuity. Continuity doesn't mean that derivable. Okay, na? So, my friends, in Durbach's theorem, so next I am giving the another approach for this Durbach's theorem, the extension of Durbach's theorem, which is nothing but intermediate value theorem of derivatives. The same intermediate value theorem there we practiced it in continuity. There what we told? If f is a continuous function defined on closed interval ab and f of a continuous function closed interval ab, and what? Then there f can assume every value between f of a and f of b. This we told. Clear, na? Then f can assume every and f of a into f of b less than 0. Sorry, f of a not equal to f of b. Then f can assume every value between f of a and f of b. Once again I am repeating. What is intermediate value theorem in the continuity? If f is a function defined on closed interval ab and f of a not equal to f of b. F is continuous on closed interval ab and f of a not equal to f of b. Then f can assume every value between f of a and f of b. That means, suppose gamma is a function value between f of a and f of b, gamma is a value between f of a and f of b, then there exists some c belongs to open interval a b such that f of c equal to gamma. This we discussed in the continuity. This is called intermediate value theorem. The same thing here what we are telling is, if f is derivable in closed interval a b, this is important, and f dash of a not equal to f dash of b there, f of a not equal to f of b here, f dash of a not equal to f dash of b, then gamma be any number between f of a and f of b, then there exists at least one point c in open interval a b such that f dash of c equal to gamma. That means that slope is nothing but slope of some point in between a and b only. So the important observation what here I am telling is, f is a real valued function in closed interval a b. Suppose f of a not equal to f of e and f assumes every value between f of a and f of b at least once. This is what intermediate value property of continuity function. Whereas this property does not characterize the continuous function. Actually, that's why what I told, converse of the mean value theorem in continuity function need not be true, because if f is continuous defined in closed interval a b and continuous in closed interval a b, and f of a not equal to f of b, then f can assume every value between f of a and f of b. That is the statement. But though f is not continuous, but though f of a not equal to f of b, and f is defined on closed interval a b, and f can assume every value between f of a and f of b, even then f need not be the continuous function. But whereas the intermediate value theorem of derivatives, it characterizes the continuous function. Derivative is characterized the continuous function. That's why, see, listen this properly. This property does not characterize the continuous function, because we have just proved the property is also shared by the class of derivative f dash x, where the continuous are not. So intermediate value theorem of continuity of the function need not characterize the continuity. That's why converse of the theorem need not be true. That we emphasize. Whereas here it's a different. Okay, so this is the intermediate value theorem property of derivatives. So my friends, these are the two most powerful theorems, and we can expect very good questions from this kind of very beautiful information that we are providing in our lessons. Hope you will enjoy this. If you like this video, please share this and subscribe this, and please don't pass unnecessary comments with a lot of efforts, and for some kind of students only I am doing my level best to help for them, for their benefit in coming competitive examinations. And we will meet with lesson 2, differentiation shortcuts. Okay, if you enjoyed this, again I am requesting you to please share and subscribe. And this kind of information already we are providing to our Sri Chaitanya students. That is the advantage with the Sri Chaitanya and the experienced faculty of Sri Chaitanya. And soon we are going to start all India test series of Sri Chaitanya. And regarding this, if you have any queries, please inquire your nearest Sri Chaitanya office. They will help you, they will guide you properly. Thank you once again.